Hi, I'm Joey Hungerford with the Bend International Church of Christ, and I had a quick word to share with you from Psalm 68:6. And that reads that God sets the lonely in families. He leads out the prisoners with singing. Are we allowing God to work through us, to bring people out of their bondage of isolation, their bondage of distraction, the bondage of worldly oppression right now? God wants to bring those exiles out. You know, when we all return from this outbreak, there will be a great singing and a great rejoicing, but who will we be rejoicing with? Who will belong with us? Who will we add into our family during this time? And I got to thinking with this singing, it reminded me of the tune Eleanor Rigby. God sets the lonely in families. Of course, the main verse from Eleanor Rigby, all the lonely people, where do they all come from? Where do they come from? Why are there so many lonely people in the world? During this time of quarantine and social distancing, there are many lonely people in the world. So what can we learn from that verse? What can we learn from that song? We know that God wants to set the lonely in families. Who's going to gather the lonely while the church is scattered? There's two people in the world, the lonely and the lovely. Now let me tell you what I mean by that. But if you recall the song Eleanor Rigby, picks up the rice in a church where a wedding had been, lives in a dream, waits at the window, puts on a face that she keeps in a jar by the door. Who is it for? Man, who wants to go to a wedding or show up right after a wedding where you don't actually know anybody? This Eleanor Rigby is a very lonely person. She puts a face on. She pretends, she thinks that she's connected with these people at the wedding, but she's not really connected with them. And just like us today, we put on a brave, smiling face, and we make ourselves look good, and we feel connected with other people. We see their weddings online and see them live their lives and their daily stories, but we're not really connected with them. And in fact, we're very lonely. Eleanor Rigby lives in a dream that she's connected to others. And we have to make sure we're not living in the same dream of connection. All the lonely people, where do they all belong? People are lonelier now more than ever. But where do they belong and who do they belong with? God wants to place them in a loving family. But are we inviting them to be in our family, to belong with us in our communities? Our second character, Father Mackenzie, writing the words of a sermon that no one will hear. No one comes near. What does he care? Father Mackenzie is a bold-faced accusation, representation of indifferent Christianity today. Delivering sermons, doing weddings and funerals that nobody really cares or pays attention to. So why does Father Mackenzie do it? He sees Eleanor Rigby at the wedding, but he doesn't connect with her. The truth is, for Christians, no one's going to come near to our preaching. They're not just going to show up and gather when we start preaching. No, we need to gather them. No one comes near Father Mackenzie because he isn't going out and gathering them. He isn't loving his community. We can't just preach a sermon and expect people to gather. We need to gather those who have been scattered. But what do we care? Do we care as much as Father Mackenzie, or do we care enough to reach people? Do we show that we care for people when we only preach at them? You know, the tune results with Father Mackenzie finally meeting Eleanor Rigby because she died in the church and was buried along with her name. Nobody came, Father Mackenzie, wiping the dirt from his hands as he walks from the grave. No one was saved. It's a very sad, they finally meet, they connect, but it's too late. He's wiping the dirt from his hands after just delivering her eulogy. We can't wait until it's too late as Christians because the dirt is on our hands. Who is the Eleanor Rigby in your life? When you look around at all the lonely people there, the Eleanor Rigbys, are you connecting with them? Again, This song is a bold-faced accusation against many of us who are indifferent Christians. The self-righteous and overly religious who refuse to reach out to all the lonely people. And then we wonder why so few come to church. See, there's two kinds of people in this world: the lonely and the lovely. And if you love your neighbor, the lonely can become the lovely. Again, Psalm 68:6, God places the lonely in families and leads out the prisoners with singing. God wants to place people in your family during this time, but I'd encourage us all as Christians, perhaps you need to say a prayer. Ask God, who are the lonely people in my life? Who can I gather even though the church is scattered? Pray and ask yourself, who is your Eleanor Rigby? We don't want to be like Father Mackenzie and connect when it's too late. Thank you for watching our video. Please leave a comment down below with your thoughts. Feel free to like our Facebook page or subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can get more content. Thank you.